about Creative Destruction Lab. This is Hormuz dad. Oh, help me.
Dadabhoy, like Attaboy.
Oh, like Attaboy. Okay. Hormuz Dadabhoy is Associate Director of the Creative Destruction Lab, a global startup program for seed stage science-based companies that was founded in 2012 at University of Toronto's Rotman School of Management. Previously, Hormuz was a manager at RBC Ventures, the venture arm of Royal Bank of Canada, and held positions at market research and statistics firms. He was also a voice actor at BBC, so I am intimidated by that, but I'm going to keep going. Hormuz has a master's degree in social policy from the University of Oxford and an undergraduate degree in Asian Pacific Studies and political science from University of Toronto. He's going to show us a short presentation about Creative Destruction Lab, which many people call CDL. When he's finished, I've got some questions and we'll welcome audience questions as well. So take the screen, Hormuz.
Thank you very much, Kathleen. I'll just share my presentation. Can everyone see that?
Yep.
Fantastic. So I just wanted to go through what we do at the Creative Destruction Lab with the help of a little story. So basically, the lab is in response to a problem. And the problem is that if you look at the distribution of capital that funds high-tech science-based companies, you'll see there's a significant concentration in Silicon Valley, in New York City, perhaps Boston. But if we look at the distribution of science-based research, we'll find that it's much more broadly distributed. And why is that disparity? We propose it's not actually due to the lack of good ideas, but a deficit in high-quality judgment. And so what we mean by judgment in the context of founders is basically the critical ability to prioritize tasks in a world of scarce resources. So founders face countless tasks with limited time, limited resources, and often very little experience making necessary decisions. So without effective judgments, founders can easily veer off course, waste time, waste money, waste mental energy. And the unfortunate reality is that oftentimes these sort of missteps lead to the collapse of a good business. So to illustrate the importance of what this judgment is, I'd like to share a little story and how this applies to what we do at CDL. So this is an email from a Stanford student in 1997 to their tech transfer office. They say that they've come up with this invention. They'd like to license it to a company called Excite. They do some back of the notebook calculations. They estimate the cost to develop this invention is about $500,000. And they estimate their labor cost in that to be about $100,000 a year. They go on to say with more of sort of back of the notebook calculations, that the benefits to Excite is about $7 million. And the students have written in the comments some in the margin some comments from a chap called Vinod. They also have the opportunity cost to Excite if they don't license this tech, which they estimate to be about $2.3 million. Now comes their proposal. They want to work full-time for Excite for 7 months until the 24th of August, at which point they want to go to Burning Man and then back to school. And then after that, they want to continue consulting for Excite for 1 year, 1 day a week until August 24th, so they can go to Burning Man again. They would then like to do this whilst they're still in school and get a bonus if they can implement it within 3 months. Then they go on to say how they'd like to be paid. They can be paid in cash, in stock, or in salary, and they here say they prefer salary. And if you remember earlier, they valued their time at about $100,000 a year. Or finally, they can take this tech and roll it into their own company, which is what this chap Vinod from the earlier comments was suggesting. Now, at this point, I think many of you would have guessed like who these students are and what this company was. They, of course, decided not to draw a salary and have, followed the judgment of Vinod Khosla and rolled this company into Google. What's interesting about this is that the email is very unremarkable. Larry Page today is as good as it gets. He's a genius in the business world. But if you look at the email, there's absolutely no genius in it. Anyone could write that. And what makes it an idea that was influenced by the kind of judgment you get in Silicon Valley is the handwritten notes in the margins from people like Vinod, steering them away from licensing and salary into building their own. That is judgment from people who built and scaled companies before. So that's really what CDL tries to do. We find deep tech companies that have great tech, great teams, and maybe a slightly wayward business plan, and we put them together with mentors who built and scaled companies before. It's basically a structured program consisting of 4 sessions where companies set objectives, which are then debated and evaluated, and then they go off and work on them, and they come back and we assess progress before the next meeting. But the idea is that you can't change a good tech or good team, but you can offer them guidance as to how to take certain steps, crucial steps along the way. So I'll just stop sharing and back to you, Kathleen, in case you have some questions.
It's amazing how efficiently you can do a presentation. Kudos to you.
I may have done this one a few times.
Well, let's dig into it. So first, I just want to say you're partnered with 11 universities in Canada, Australia, Estonia, and France, and the US. The 3 US universities that you're partnered with, where you run these programs, are Georgia Tech, University of Seattle, and University of Wisconsin. Let's talk a little more about how these programs work. You said there are 4 sessions, they're a month apart. Is that correct?
They're about 8 weeks apart.
Okay.
They happen 4 times a year, and they go on for about a day. And then in terms of the actual mechanics, in the first half of the day, the founders meet with a subset of the CDL mentors in a series of meetings we call small group meetings, where founders will discuss progress, highlight challenges, seek guidance from mentors. And these objectives are meant to be very actionable, bite-sized. This is what we need to do in the next 3 months or 2 months to de-risk the company. And then the mentors will suggest either the objectives that the founders have come with or make tweaks on them. And then we move in the second half of the day to something called a large group discussion. And this is where all of the mentors, so for each stream, we'll have between 20 and 25 mentors. So all of them in the same room. And this is where those 3 objectives that they've come up have been discussed and debated. And at the end of the day, the mentors will participate in something called deliberations, where they decide which company should be invited back to the next session and which should be dropped from the program. So at each of these sessions, we will drop 1 company.
How many do you start with?
We start with 20.
Okay.
Well, roundabouts, maximum is 20.
So over the course of a year, 4 get dropped?
No, at least 4 get dropped. Over the course of the year, we'll probably finish with about 6, between 6 and 8 companies.
So there's a real incentive to get everything pulled together in those 8 weeks between sessions, because you don't want to get dropped when you show up the next time.
Companies get dropped for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's a lack of progress. Sometimes it's that, they may have gone off and raised some money and now they have a board of people advising them, and then CDL is not a great fit for them anymore. But yes, showing maybe it's not, meeting every objective, but it's showing positive progress towards particular inflection points along their journey.
And these companies can come from all over. They just, when that one-day meeting happens, they have to go to the university where their stream is.
We do it, each university has its own rules. So in Toronto, we do 2 of them in person and 2 of them remotely.
Okay.
And I should also mention that it is a not-for-profit, so we don't charge any fees and we don't charge any equity. So it's just your time, and it's meant to be very low touch. That's why it's 1 day every couple of months.
So you've described kind of what they get out of coming to the program. There's no money that changes hands or, investment or anything like that.
There's no money on behalf of CDL, but the mentors in the program are oftentimes either angel investors or venture capitalists that generally invest in these guys.
Yeah, let's talk about your criteria for mentors, because everyone says they have mentors, and it might be, the guy who started the barber shop, right?
It's pretty simple. So the way the room is designed, it's we want 70% of them should be operators. So who have operated a business before and they have raised either 100 million for a company or sold one for more than $100 million. 20% would be partners at VC firms, Canadian or international. And 10% would be executives at corporates. So some of the representatives from our corporate partners or retired corporate executives, those are really useful for getting intros if you're trying to sell into a large company.
And tell us about the different streams. You have 3 AI streams. Maybe we start with that, right?
We have 3 AI streams, 1 located in Toronto, 1 located in Montreal, and 1 located in Paris at HEC. The CDL Toronto AI stream focuses on three areas generally. So semiconductors, so innovations on chips, neuromorphic chips, IoT devices, AI computer training, anything that basically improves performance, reduces cost, and improves security. We also do intelligent machines. So there's been a lot of advancements in the human-machine interactions, including robots, autonomous vehicles, androids. And one of our companies, Sanctuary AI, has done extremely well in this. And then also we look at the basic infrastructure. So infrastructure layer that propels advancements of AI models. So data access management, fine-tuning of models, edge computing, developer tooling, responsible AI, and we also look at safety, embed safety in there. That's just because that's what the University of Toronto generally is very good at. So when we have a lot of scientists involved as well, doing technical due diligence, we can draw on that from the university itself.
So each you apply to each. If I were an AI startup, I wouldn't apply to all three in a blanket way. I'd apply to each individually, each
You
area.
can, we have a general application pool, and then you can rank based on, where you're located, the types of mentors you want to meet. Companies can rank, wherever they want to do the CDL program. And then what we do is when we get the applications, we'll interact with our other sites to see, which site would best serve this particular company.
And tell us about just some of the other streams that you have.
So it all corresponds to what each university is good at. So, for example, the University of Washington has an advanced manufacturing stream because of the wide era of manufacturing jobs and industry in Seattle. CDL Toronto and Montreal run concurrently the quantum stream. CDL Toronto also runs a neuroscience stream. Out in the east in Halifax, we've got an oceans stream, so anything related to oceans technology. In Calgary, we've got an energy and agriculture stream. So it really is, it goes along with what a local university is particularly good at.
And can any startup apply, or does it have to be a startup affiliated with one of the universities in your network?
Any startup from anywhere in the world, apart from a few sanctioned countries we don't take companies from, but other than that, anywhere. And then again, we will go through a process where we decide which stream and which site is most will help the company the most.
So the program is really a year long with those 4 meetings?
Yeah, so we start in September and then we will end in April. And then, so there's 4 meetings, and then we have a 5th meeting, which is a little bit different in its structure. That's when every company that gets through all 4 sessions from around the world comes to Toronto, and we do a day or 2 of programming for them. That's more about networking, finding investors, and really showcasing beyond your local mentor pool where they would be familiar with your company.
And what kind of successes have you had? You mentioned one with that.
With Sanctuary AI, yeah. So the way we measure success is in equity value generated. So, a company that comes through CDL then goes on to raise, X amount of money. We've thus far had CDL companies raise about 35 billion in equity value, not just from CDL investors, but more broadly. And some of the success stories, an interesting one is Ada. It's a AI-based chatbot company. They're worth about $1.4 billion at the moment. And Ada basically was a bit of a spin out of UFC. And they were able to do a very effective automated customer service responses. And it is the reason why Zoom, one of their early clients, was able to become the dominant video conferencing platforms during the pandemic, because they were able to scale very, very effectively with that. Another company, because we were talking about quantum earlier, Xanadu, they're building a fault-tolerant quantum computer based in Toronto. They came through CDL in 2017, so quite a few years ago now.
Well,
But yeah, lots of interesting ones.
So if a university wants to become a CDL site, how does that work?
It's a little bit about having a good mix of an excellent engineering or deep science based school, as well as having a concurrent business school and having a champion academic in both. If that's the case, then they will approach CDL, and we'd go through it with them. We also have a global CDL global entity that will help sort of deliver the program to a new university. So show you how to run it, how to set up the sessions, help you find mentors, help you find partners, and help you fund it for the first couple of years.
And say a little more about that business school component. That was something new to me when we prepped for this.
So a key component that I haven't mentioned yet is that there is a teaching component involved with CDL. So if you run this program, you also run a course called the CDL Advanced course, which is a course on entrepreneurship. And a key component of that is the students from the CDL Advanced course will get to work with these companies. So much like Shyama was saying earlier, companies, generally the types of founders we have are PhDs, very, very scientifically literate, but maybe not the best business minds just yet. And so they will put out a list of skills that they need, and they will be matched with students that have those skills. And the students are generally MBA, either MBA or executive MBA students.
And are you looking to expand right now? Are you looking for more universities?
Always, always. So there's constant interest from both universities in the United States as well as around the world. If anyone is interested in doing that, please contact me. I will put you in touch with the people at CDL Global that handle the expansion plans. But yeah, there's always interest in expanding this offering.